Alright, today I'm going to be playing as Beg Danishmend of basically the Turkish people over here. They're right now Tengri, but I do plan on converting to Islam and then migrating over to the Byzantine Empire. Alright, I think I'm going to declare war to try to bring this guy under my tribute. We got our first battle. Okay, wiped him out, 50%. There we go. Okay, another battle, destroyed them, and now I'm going to siege down their capital and bring them under tribute. Alright, there we go. Got our first tributary. Alright, now I'm going to also increase my dominance, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, I'm going to migrate again. I'm going to go ahead and go to there. Just going back and forth to make sure I have high fertility. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and migrate again over to here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and convert to Maturidi Islam right over here. There we go. And that's a successful migration right there. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and migrate back over here because it looks like the fertility is way back up. Alright, well, I died, so I'm taking as my son. I have to continue that war. Got our first siege off, and now I'm going to go ahead and try to meet his armies. Alright, well, he beat me in that battle. Alright, this isn't good. So, I don't really know where I am right now. This is not good. I guess for now, because I don't really have anything, I'm gonna have to migrate to over here. It's better than nothing. Alright, I've been sitting here just gaining a bunch of herd and prestige, and now I'm able to take the decision to have high dominance. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And now I'm gonna be able to prepare to invade the Byzantine Empire. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and take the decision to dominate the Orgas. Where is that? There it is. And I think that's gonna put me in a war against this guy. Yep. Gonna head straight to his capital for a siege right there. Alright, siege done right there. And it looks like I might have gotten a prisoner. Yep. So I'm gonna be able to enforce my demands. Alright, I died swing as my son, Tekken right here. I'm probably going to need to try to rebuild everything. Alright, the Byzantines are in a big crisis right now, so I'm going to go ahead and try my luck with a war. It looks like his allies are busy and he's fighting, you know, a civil war. So I'm going to go ahead and, even though it's going to like de-rank me because it's too much prestige, I'm going to just go ahead and declare it. Alright, getting our first sieges off right here. Okay, looking good. Alright, looks like the Byzantines are trying to land. I'm going to try to catch him in a battle. There we go. Oh, wiped them out 50%. Nice. Getting more sieges off right here. 70%. Looking good. Alright, even more sieges off. Let's go. 77%. Okay, this should... I think that we just need a couple more sieges, then we should be able just to get victory. Alright, there we go. With that siege, I'm able to overrun the kingdom of Anatolia. Alright, now that I've conquered this, I think that, yeah, the overrun did convert the culture, and then the... Oh, I think I messed up. I forgot to convert my people to... Okay, I'm gonna just reload the old save, and I'm gonna try to do this again. Okay, I forgot to actually use this decision right down here, which is to spread Maturidism to your people, which is basically just converting them to Islam. So I better do that first, and then now declare war on this guy for the kingdom of Anatolia. Alright, I'm just gonna go through this whole process again of sieging down all the Byzantine land. Alright, there we go. No, hopefully I did it right, but this should be us claiming Anatolia and converting it partially to Islam. Alright, looks like I did it right this time. I have the Turkish culture right here, and it's also converted to Islam partially, so now I should be able to continue the run and actually function right. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and declare another holy war, this time for the kingdom of Pontus right here. Alright, let's get our first battle with the Byzantines, wipe them out, and also took over their war banner, so that's good. Alright, we're getting a couple of sieges off here, but they do have high fort levels, so that is a bit annoying. I'm gonna start a battle, wipe out that army group, and then wipe out another. There we go, 55%. Alright, they did change rulers, so I lost on my war progress there, but I'm gonna just keep the war going. Alright, we're at 27% now. He's gonna try to de-siege these lands, so I'm gonna go march over there. Alright, they're trying to de-siege over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get another battle going. Let's see where they're gonna go. Oh yeah, I should catch them. Okay, wipe out that army. 77%, nice. Alright, I'm getting another siege off over here. 97%, we're getting close. Another battle with Byzantines. Oh, that's actually not going as good as I want because my allies just won't hop in. Alright, there we go, nice. Now we can finish sieging this down. And there we go. That is the Kingdom of Pontus, now under my rule. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and form a hybrid culture with the Greeks and just make the Turkish culture right here. It is only gonna cost me actually 550 prestige to do that, and I'm keeping majority Turkish, you know, aesthetics and culture and all that. I am using some Roman traditions just because I think that they're cool and can complement, you know, the horseman stuff pretty well, but I'm gonna go ahead and form it. This little deal we're getting right here with minus 1650 cost for it is just way too good to not take, so I'm gonna go ahead and form this culture. The Turkish hybridization. Spurred on by the positive relations and increased cultural exchange, the Greeks and the Oghuz people have grown increasingly close over the years. Now individuals from these societies have begun to view themselves not as one or the other, but as both simultaneously. A new Turkish culture. Oghuz traditions and values form the backbone of this new culture, while various Greek attributes have adapted and integrated to meet the needs of their new society. With the Turkish people now looking to me for guidance, it is time to set the stage for our shared future. To a new age, a new era, a new people. And as you can see now, the Turkish culture has started right over here, and hopefully I can spread it to cover most of Anatolia, if not, you know, mainland Balkans. Alright, I'm going to declare another one of the Byzantines to take over this area right here, and I'm going to call in my allies for that. And I'm going to go ahead and start the war marching. Alright, got my first battle going right here. Oh, and I think I captured him. I did, so that's just instant war win. Alright, nice. So now we've taken over this area. Alright, I'm going to declare war to conquer this duchy now, right over here. Okay, let's get our first battle going. Let's wipe them out. Oh! Okay, these wars keep being easier than I expected. Alright, I'm going to declare war now on the Byzantines again, this time for this duchy right up here. So let's just get that going. Alright, I'm getting a siege going right over here. Should be able to take that pretty quick. Then I'm probably going to go after his armies. Alright, if he's just going to keep doing that and just crossing over as soon as I walk away, I'm just going to go ahead and come back and try another battle. Dude, I just can't catch these guys. Okay, he's walking away, but I'm still probably going to catch a battle. Alright, that's fine. But I am not going to siege down their capital yet. That's going to take way too long. Just getting a couple more sieges off right over here. Shouldn't be that much longer until they just surrender. Alright, well, I died in the middle of a siege, so I'm going to take as my son, Sultan Yaman. And finish up the siege, and there we go. It's a good way to start off a reign, just getting a war win. The Byzantines are in a severely weakened position right now, so I'm going to go ahead and holy war and try to take over Constantinople. Okay, I'm doing a long siege on Constantinople, and this is why I didn't want to do it earlier. It's going to take probably 2 years. And there we go, I've taken Constantinople. Now let's get a battle going with their main army over here. We can catch him. There we go. 31% and knock out his allies. Alright, besiege that. And now let's go ahead and take the offensive directly into their lands again. Alright, 58%. Let's get another battle going with his troops right here. Nice. And there we go. Now this should just have to siege the remainder of this land, and I don't think he's going to contest me that much. Another siege off, 78%. Looking good. Alright, good. Another siege off there. And boom! We have just taken Constantinople. Yeah, we're growing. Alright, I'm going to declare another war against the Byzantines to take over this area right over here. Getting our first siege off in this area, and I'm probably going to try to knock out his allies right over here. Just getting that battle off. Alright, we caught him, wiped him out, 64%, just go for their capital. Getting another siege off right over here, 82%. Alright, getting another siege off right over here. And there we go, that's the war. And that's another duchy taken from the Byzantines. Alright, the Byzantines were just basically taken over by this person right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and declare war to seize Mesopotamia. Alright, siege off right there, and now just take over this siege from these peasants that are rising up. And that should give us almost full occupation. Alright, that's full occupied, now I gotta just go deal with some rebels real quick. Alright, we got a battle going, wiped out that army, so that's the peasant uprising dealt with. Now I'm just gonna have to continue to siege down Byzantine lands. Actually, it looks like they sent a force to try to siege this back, so I'm gonna just get a battle going real quick. Wipe out that army, and then just try and chase him down. I'm gonna head right there. Yeah, there we go. And that is the war over. Actually, wait, that was 98%. I'm not gonna fight that. Oh, I have the peacemaker trait. That makes sense. All right, there we go. All right, now I'm gonna declare war on this guy to take the last bit of Anatolia that I need over here. Let's go for a holy war for the Duchy of Ephesus right over there, and then I'm gonna call in my allies and just try to overwhelm them. Getting our first couple sieges off over here. And I found his armies. They're just kind of hanging out over here. I'll try and get him to a defensive battle for me so that I can have some advantage against him. Alright, I caught him right here maybe. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're gonna wipe out that force. There we go, 66% and 69%. Nice, let's go. Alright, get another siege off right over here. 88%, looking good. Alright, I got it just ticked over to 90%, and because of my peacemaker trait, that just means I can enforce demands. And there we go. Enough power to form a new sultanate. One that is sure to top the greatness of Rome itself. There is still work to be done, yet I have no doubt historians will enshrine this moment as one of the great steps in the conquest of Europe by the followers of Allah. Let the West quake. So as you can see, I just formed an entirely new kingdom, and this is all de jure part of it. Oh, I guess this didn't really join that, but that's fine, I'll just de jure drift it. Now there is still one issue. The Khazars did make me their vassal, so I'm gonna go ahead and cease paying tribute and see if they retaliate. Alright, they did, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and fight a war against them. I think I'm gonna go for a white peace, but I do want an independent country. I'm just gonna siege down some of their low-level forts over here, get some easy war score going. Oh, peasant uprising. Okay, I have to deal with that. Will they accept a white peace after the siege? No, but he's close, only -2. So just one more siege, then I'll just white peace him. Alright, that's another siege down, and he should accept white peace. Yep. There we go, so now I'm independent, and then I now gotta go deal with these rebels back home. Let's just go quickly crush these guys. There we go. And now I'm an independent state. You got the Sultanate of Rum right here. I think I might do a little bit more expansion before I call it though. Alright, I died subjugating as my son, Sultan Tekin. I'm just going to focus on consolidating again, and then I'm probably going to try to invade the Bulgarians, or I guess the Mongols, because they kind of settled that region right there. Oh, I just picked up the Conquer trait. Alright, this is good. This is good. It's going to be way more CBs and internal stability. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and declare war on these Mongols over here for the Kingdom of Bulgaria, or whatever they call it, the Golod Khanate. And I'm probably going to raise up some mercs and just try to overrun this region. Alright, we're getting a couple sieges off right over here. That's first siege down, second siege down, making our way to the capital. Alright, here's a siege on their capital. 40%, looking nice. Alright, let's get our first battle going. Should wipe them out. And there we go. That is the entirety of Bulgaria now under me. Now, I don't know if the game bugged out or what happened, but all the Tengri rulers here still kept their land, and I also can't demand their conversion for some reason, so this is kind of weird. Alright, I think I'm going to call it here. As you can see, I've converted majority of Anatolia to the Turkish culture, and it's starting to spread into the mainland Balkans right over here. I've also done pretty good conversion of faith. As you can see, it's spreading all over. But right now, it's not letting me really convert any people over here because I think it's glitched and broken. But either way, I've grown pretty big. This is a pretty good run. I think I'm going to call it here though. So if you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help out. And I will see you all in the next video.